right now on 5 on your side at 10.
An 8-year-old girl starts to drown while trying to save her 6-year-old cousin.
And I started screaming once I got up just for help. But yeah, I thought that I definitely thought we had lost her.
How a family member stepped in to save her life.
Temperatures today, believe it or not, in the mid-40s, but that was after midnight. Our daytime high was warm then. Our temps fell the rest of the day, and it's mighty cold out right now. Why, it gets even colder, and when the coldest of the air is yet to settle in.
With an Arctic blast coming in, many seek shelter.
20 degrees is the point where death happens from cold weather.
Where multiple counties are setting up shelter to keep the homeless safe from the cold. Some dangerously cold nights ahead of us as we take a live look over downtown St. Louis. No snow in the forecast, but you can definitely expect wind chills hitting below zero in some places over the next few days. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Robert Townsend. It's looking like things are only going to get colder as the weekend goes on. Let's get straight over to Gary Frank with our weather impact forecast.
Yeah, good evening. As we continue to look outside, it is very cold. You can see the wind moving things around a little bit. I think over the next 12 to 24 hours, these cameras will be moving around just a little bit more. And if you look at this long enough, you can see it's moving around, and you can also see the exhaust in the distance. That is moving around. We have a northerly flow that's continued to push in colder air, drier air, and pushing all that precipitation well to the south. And clouds are around, but temps haven't fallen a ton since I last talked to you at 5 or 6, with temps in the mid-20s. So that's at least a positive, but the wind is still up, and it feels mighty cold. 6 in Pittsfield, 11 in St. Charles. Wind is making it feel like 8 in Rolla, and we're starting to feel that now. And those numbers are only going to go down into the overnight hours and through tomorrow as well, and into the rest of the overnight. We will fall into the mid-teens, but believe it or not, it could be much colder. My main focus for Sunday to Tuesday is the extreme cold. We really need to layer up because this is the next level, not just, hey, this is January, we get it. This is another level of cold, and we'll talk about those levels and what we can expect and how long that's going to stick around with us, Robert.
It's not like a them problem, right? Like, it can happen to any of us.
Now, churches, community centers, and more are prepping to open their doors to the homeless as the temperatures begin to drop. About a dozen organizations are taking part in the emergency weather response programs in St. Charles, Lincoln, and Warren counties. Now, volunteers are working to staff overnight shelters for many people in their area tonight.
It's just a safe space for them to rest and recharge and know that they are cared about and not forgotten, so that they can then go out and, I don't know, be people, like live their lives.
The emergency weather response is activated whenever temperatures drop below 20 degrees in these counties. So far, on the 12 coldest nights this winter, the EWR provided 227 overnight stays spread between the 3 counties. Some of those warming shelters getting activated tonight include Wentzville Christian Church off Highway Z and the Lincoln County Health Department in Troy. Now, anyone who needs help this weekend can call the EWR hotline at 636-344-0177. You can find a full list of shelters open on our website, KSDK.com, in the As Seen on TV section. Your weather impact forecast is always available online and on the 5+ app. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355, and we will send a link straight to your phone. New information tonight on a robbery and a police chase that ended in a crash in South St. Louis. Police say around noon, officers spotted a car wanted in connection with a robbery. Now, when they tried to stop it, the driver sped off. Officers deployed spike strips during the pursuit, and the car hit a fence on South Broadway and Itasca Street, not far from Interstate 55. Police arrested 2 people. They also recovered a stolen gun from that crash. Right now, we're working to learn more about a deadly hit-and-run crash in Franklin County. Missouri State Highway Patrol says it got calls reporting the crash on I-44 close to 6 o'clock tonight. Now, investigators say a motorcycle was hit by another vehicle near Route 100. We don't know what vehicle hit the motorcycle, but Highway Patrol believes that they fled the scene. We will, of course, keep you updated as we get more details. Today, the EPA announced radioactive levels at the Westlake landfill in North St. Louis County are more widespread than it previously thought. And cleanup is going to cost around $400 million. Now, crews need to dig up another 20,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil and debris in the area. That's more than 3 football fields put together. That radioactive material was dumped at the site back in the 1970s after a World War II effort to boost the country's nuclear weapons program.
We will stand together. We will get this job done.
Tonight, more than 5,000 firefighters are trying to make progress on containing the 2 major wildfires left to battle in Southern California. At least 27 people are dead, and officials believe that number is going to rise as search and rescue efforts continue. This comes as many desperately try to get back home. Donation sites for victims are trying to get the bare essentials they need to help people get back on their feet. As more people plead for help in California, one St. Louis pizza shop is stepping up to give those families and first responders some relief. Pizzeria de Gloria on the Hill is working with nonprofit Slice Out Hunger to do this. When you order a specialty barbecue chicken pizza, half the proceeds will go to feed the people and businesses impacted by the wildfires. Now, this isn't the first time the St. Louis shop has partnered with the organization.
In order to be a member of Slice Out Hunger, you have to commit to donating a certain amount of pizzas every year. And so they do various fundraisers, like we did a Hawaiian-style pizza for the Hawaiian wildfire victims.
The fundraiser to help California wildfire victims will last through February 1st. Koroski says in a few weeks, Pizzeria de Gloria will work with winter outreach to help feed people who are homeless, those folks impacted by winter weather this year. For more ways on how you can help the victims of the California wildfires, just text the word FIRE to 314-425-5355 and we'll send you a link. Tonight, an 8-year-old girl is safe and out of the hospital after almost drowning at a hotel pool in Eureka. New tonight, Andy Kroll spoke with the little girl and her mom only moments after being discharged about being grateful to God and the family member who performed CPR.
It was very traumatizing, very, very traumatizing.
Visiting from Tennessee to see family, the Posies were staying at the Eureka Holiday Inn St. Louis West at Six Flags Friday afternoon, never imagining that their 8-year-old daughter, Kaylin, would swim over to try and keep her 6-year-old cousin afloat, but would eventually need rescuing herself, much to her mom, Candace Posey's horror.
I saw a shadow in the bottom of the pool, and so I got up to look and I realized I thought maybe she was diving for a toy, but she wasn't moving. So she was just laying on the bottom of the pool. So I just fully clothed, jumped in, and I grabbed her, and by the grace of God, somehow was able to just get her out of the pool.
Candace says that after pulling her out of the Holiday Inn pool, her daughter was blue and unconscious, telling me that as a mom, it was one of the worst moments of her life.
It was absolutely the worst moment. And I would cut off both my legs to never have to see that image again. And it's definitely an image that I'm never going to get out of my head, unfortunately. So
Candace's cousin, Shalane Harmon, is CPR certified and immediately started rescue breaths.
I wasn't thinking of any of that. I just did it, just all in one swift motion. And I don't know how, I don't know. It just happened.
Taken to St. Louis Children's Hospital by paramedics, Kaylin had some fluid in her lungs, but was leaving Saturday evening healthy.
I mean, she's just a miracle. It's just absolutely a miracle. And we believe that God for sure has a big plan for her.
After it happened, Candace bought the typically strong swimmer, Kaylin, this toy mermaid. As if by fate, The Little Mermaid was on TV while Kaylin was recovering, telling her mom during a rescue scene, "Look, Mommy, it's us."
No matter how confident you are that they're good to swim, do not take your eyes off them for a second.
Annie Kroll, 5 on your side.
Quite an emotional story, Andy. Thanks. Kaylin says she doesn't want to swim again anytime soon, while Candace shared the family is planning on going to therapy to process this terrifying incident. She's also advocating for more people to get CPR certified so they can jump into action and potentially save a life. We have information on how to do that on KSDK.com. A 2-year-old Palestinian girl starting to walk again. The progress she's made since the war in Gaza took her legs. The president-elect headed to the U.S. Capitol for his inauguration, but thousands weren't giving him a warm welcome. A look at the protests that hit D.C. streets ahead of Trump's inauguration.
Windy conditions have started to pick up throughout the last several hours, but they're really going to pick up tomorrow. What it feels like in combination with the Arctic air and how long this wind chill and this cold air is going to settle in.
In just a few hours, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is set to begin, pausing a 15-month conflict in the Gaza Strip. Now, the ceasefire starts at 8:30 there, just half an hour after midnight for us. Hamas is expected to release 3 hostages after 4 p.m. Israel agreed to release 95 Palestinian prisoners shortly after. Mostly men and women and children, rather. Israeli troops in Gaza will be deployed to the territory's borders with Israel and Egypt. 90% of Gaza's population was displaced by Israeli forces, and as many get a chance to go home, there's concern over what troops left behind.
For those in Gaza City planning to return to northern Gaza, as well as those in southern areas heading toward Rafah or eastern regions along the border, we strongly urge caution. As is customary, Israeli forces often leave behind remnants of war in these areas, which, if disturbed, could result in fatal consequences.
Tonight, just hours before the ceasefire is set to take place, protesters in Tel Aviv demanded the release of the hostages. But as the crowds surged, a warning from the prime minister: the truce may only be temporary.
That's wonderful.
She's doing so good.
Yeah.
A 2-year-old little girl from Gaza is up and walking again, we're glad to say, after getting much-needed medical treatment right here in St. Louis. Her name is Rahaf, and she lost both her legs due to the ongoing war in Gaza. So the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund stepped in to bring her to the United States to give her a chance to walk again. You're looking at videos showing how far Rahaf's gotten in her healing journey. She has new prosthetics, and you can see she's starting to learn how to walk again. She's been in St. Louis ever since early December. We, of course, are wishing you well, Rahaf.
Temperature's cold outside. We're starting to feel that Arctic air settle in. It's been a slow climb down, but we're really going to bottom out. What that means for tomorrow as we watch this north wind filter in much colder air.
Just a few hours ago, President-elect Donald Trump landing in Washington, D.C. to prep for his inauguration. A special mission air flight carried him, his wife Melania, and their son Barron to the nation's capital. The inauguration has been moved to inside the Capitol Rotunda ahead of a freezing forecast with a high around 20 degrees. And just before, thousands of people marched through Washington, D.C. to protest President-elect Donald Trump's return to office. Organizers say today's march is part of a long-term resistance strategy against policies proposed by the incoming administration.
There's a lot of issues. One that comes to mind is the climate crisis and the lack of their care and movement and change and in making change or preventing or mitigating the risk of the climate crisis, but also just rights for queer people, rights for trans people, rights for women, I think are all things that a lot of people are gathered here today.
Protesters called it a people's march. The march later turned into a rally at the Lincoln Memorial. President-elect Trump commented today on the unpopular TikTok ban. Trump said he will likely give the app a 90-day extension from the ban while in office. Now, Biden signed a law last year requesting the app's parent company to sell it to a non-Chinese buyer or face a ban. That ban is supposed to take effect tomorrow, but Trump says he's considering making an announcement Monday to delay that ban. If it happens, the app could go dark for at least a day before the extension is granted. You can watch coverage of President Donald Trump's inauguration Monday. You can catch it in full on the 5+ streaming app starting at 9 a.m. You can find the app by searching KSDK on your Roku, Fire, or Apple TV. Turning now to our forecast. Cold temperatures are back in the St. Louis region. Gary's back with a look at that cold weather. Hey,
yeah,
Gary.
and I don't have TikTok, but apparently online everybody said it's dark now, so it's gone. So sorry about you. I'm too old for TikTok, so don't care. But anyway, temps in the mid-40s last night, and before midnight, we continue to look at temperatures started to fall. And that's where our high temperatures were after midnight. And then as you continue to go throughout the day, we really kind of settled into the mid-20s here overall. So that's kind of where we've been. You know, we really haven't gone up or down, just kind of held pretty steady. And what you felt this morning is what you feel now, except we have that northwest wind. And you'll see that through tomorrow. The northwest wind is really going to be felt. That's where it starts to get colder. And I think when you'll notice, look at the single digits and low teens. That's what's headed our way. And really the only reason we haven't seen that yet, there still is a layer of cloud cover when we have the air moving around. It doesn't settle as much. It doesn't cool down quite as quickly, but it's still an Arctic air mass. With our current wind speeds and gusts now up to 22 miles an hour in Chesterfield, St. Charles, Scott Air Force Base. And I think for the most part, like I said, you're going to see this wind be a factor throughout most of Sunday and especially throughout Monday. And what it's going to feel like, our current wind chills, like I said, in the single digits, 10, 15, 20 degrees, and tomorrow morning, that's where our air temperatures will be. So as far as the cloud cover still around, but it's cold, it's frigid. That north wind continues, and as it switches to the northwest tomorrow at 15, 20 miles an hour, we're going to struggle to get to 20 degrees. I think we're only going to get to 18, and that's not the coldest high we've ever seen on January 19th. That would be 5 in 1943, and we forecast 18, but that's only the 8th coldest. So, you know, we've seen that before, but still, anything is in the top 10, I think, what we'll see tomorrow. It's also going to feel much colder for tomorrow. I think anywhere between 0 and about 5 degrees is what it'll feel like. And when you add the wind, Monday morning, I think Tuesday morning may be the coldest. That's a day we're eyeing for a weather impact alert day simply because of the wind. It just depends on how cold that air mass actually gets for Tuesday, because I think we'll start to get back up. The bulk of the really cold stuff stays to the north and finally moves away. And I do think we get a break as we head into Wednesday. Until then, though, temperatures at 18 up to 23 and then back down to 19. At least it's a holiday, so you can stay inside. By Tuesday, as you're back to work or school, it's still very cold. As we look into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're back into the 40s for a brief period, and then I'm looking at Friday for some colder weather here, and then by Saturday, some thawing. So we'll see, once again, this freeze-thaw cycle, but the next few days, it'll be mighty cold. I got to feel like even as we go out there right now, much colder than it was when we got here.
A lot colder. Hey, I'm thinking about those folks who are going to be going out to Sunday services tomorrow.
I'm thinking about the pets. I'm thinking about the homeless. I'm thinking about people outside that need a place. We need to check on our friends and neighbors, heat up St. Louis. Also, something to think about as well.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. Thanks. Corey's here now. What's happening in sports?
Lots going on in sports, Robert. The Blues are out in Utah for the first time ever. Mizzou Hoops continues to roll, and the winter warm-up is already providing us with some notable quotes. Stick around. Sports is up next.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Onder Law Injury Attorneys.
Way back in the late 70s and early 80s, the Blues had a minor league team out in Utah, the Golden Eagles. Tonight, the franchise plays its first ever game in Salt Lake City against the Utah Hockey Club, looking to finally convert their first 3-game win streak of the season. Claude Julien was a member of the Salt Lake Golden Eagles. Now he's an assistant coach for the Blues. Tyler Tucker had quite a start to this game. He scores his second of the season off a face-off 1-0 Blues early. And then literally 3 seconds later, Tucker had a scrap too. Watch him bust open Liam O'Brien's forehead. Utah came on strong though. They scored 2, and then the St. Louis kid made it 3-1. That's Clayton Keller on the goal. Blues cut into the lead in the second. Jake Neighbors on the doorstep made it 3-2. Right now, Utah leads 4-2 in the third period. Coach Cal in Arkansas at Mizzou Arena today, and the Tigers came to play. That Tamar Bates 3 made it 18-2 to start the game. More of the same after that. How deadly has Caleb Grill been? He had 3 of Mizzou's 11 3-pointers in this one to have the arena absolutely rocking. Hogs tried to cut into the Mizzou lead in the second, but the Tigers dug in. Crazy 3 right here from Anthony Robinson. That made it a 16-point game. And fittingly, Grill would get the exclamation point with a steal and a dunk to close it out. Mizzou wins 83-65, their 14th straight win at home. Best start ever in the SEC. And yeah, I think these guys are enjoying it.
To keep these guys in a shell defense, and ultimately we wanted to push the tempo, and our guys one at a time ended up taking care of business. So, well, they enjoy each other. These guys enjoy each other, as you can see. Like I said, it's a player-led program, and I'm just thankful these guys allow me to coach them with my heart.
Robbie Avila and SLU had a matchup with the Richmond Spiders earlier today, and the goggled Billiken star proved why he's a closer. Second half and 1 for Robbie, SLU up 4. Minute 30 left. Avila doing some more work in the paint. SLU down 1 at that point. Then under a minute left, just let him work again. Avila with a bucket to take the lead. Bills would not give it up either. They make their clutch free throws and beat Richmond 63-59. Often the hottest autograph ticket at the Cardinals winter warm-up is the new addition everybody's excited about. Well, there isn't one this year, but even in this retool phase for the Cardinals, the fans showed up to welcome back their Redbirds. Always a great event to benefit Cardinals Care every winter and get us ready for the baseball season. We also got to hear from quite a few big names for the first time in a while. John Mozeliak on the Arenado trade situation, Sonny Gray on wanting to stay in St. Louis, and Ryan Helsley on still being a Cardinal amidst that ongoing retool.
Priority 1, 2, and 3 is still Nolan. It's the first time in my career that, we're sitting up here in the middle of January and literally have done nothing for the roster at this point.
I'm not 100% sold still that we can't win here. I enjoy working with younger players and younger guys, so I look forward to doing that.
Honestly, thought I wasn't going to come back this year, honestly. Kind of sad, because this is where I grew up, but super excited and thrilled to be back, to keep wearing this uniform.
NFL playoffs, and there's a new star in the Taylor Swift box at Arrowhead. Hey, Caitlin Clark. Chiefs hosting the Texans. I know that Sweet loved this play. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce, who shows he still has some moves left in the tank. He goes down at the 6-yard line. Chiefs scored just a few plays later. Fourth quarter now, Chiefs up 13-12. Mahomes magic to Kelce again, this time for a touchdown. KC wins 23-14 to reach their 7th straight AFC championship game. It's crazy when you say it out loud like that. The other game, a couple local Detroit Lions had big games, but they ended up falling to the Washington Commanders.
Lots of folks cheering those Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
That's all our time for now. Saturday Night Live is coming your way next. Everybody, have a good evening and stay safe out there.